Welcome to our latest user's guide by DK Engineering, and today we're going to focus on the Porsche Carrera GT. Now the Carrera GT can firmly trace its roots back to the 1998 911 GT1. And for the 1999 season they decided that they were going to build a sports prototype for racing at Le Mans. And for this they wanted to use the shelved 1992 Porsche V10 engine that had been developed for the footwork team but never put into use. As a result of Porsche deciding to focus on the Cayenne SUV program, and perhaps because Audi being unhappy about it with the forthcoming R8 race car, the project was ultimately shelved. However, in 2000 at the Geneva Motor Show, Porsche did indeed show a prototype. And 4 years later, in early 2004, the Carrera GT as we know it went on sale in the USA, and production of 1,270 units continued until it ceased in 2006. And as a result, we ended up with this totally unique and bespoke Porsche, unlike any other from the past or since. It was very much, as we know today, the last of an era. So, how about the user's guide? The basis of the Carrera GT is an all-carbon fibre monocoque with the V10 mounted at the back and a 6-speed manual gearbox mated to it, which is what makes it quite special today, because everyone wants that analogue feel of a manual gearbox. People are sort of over this flappy paddle era. The cars were available in 5 colours as standard, so that was Guards Red, Faience Yellow, Basalt Black, Seal Grey, and of course GT Silver, which was the most popular colour. There were also 3 interior options: Ascot interior, terracotta, and black, which actually was a very dark grey. This car is one of only 40 cars that was supplied with a paint-to-sample colour scheme. And the paint-to-sample cars are extremely sought after owing to their rarity. As you can imagine, 40 out of 1,270 built, it makes it a very, very rare car indeed. And this is the only car produced by the factory in midnight blue with Ascot interior, making it a very, very tasteful and sought-after colour combination. But enough about this particular car, let's have a look at the features. So throughout the car there are an abundance of features that point towards that stillborn Le Mans racer. The most obvious being this beechwood gear knob, which harks back to the Porsche 917 that had very much the same setup. Even the gear lever is up high on the dash so that you can really have a focused, close to the steering wheel gear change. The other thing is that the ignition key is on the left-hand side, which again points back to the Le Mans starts, where Porsche in the sports racing cars of the 70s always used to do that, so that the driver could jump in and with one hand start the car and with the other put it in gear and off they went. But looking at the rest of the interior, let's run through this. So in the middle here we've obviously got our manual gearbox. It's 6-speed, it's a traditional setup. To put it into reverse, it's a push hard to the left and forwards, and we're in reverse. Above the gear lever we've got 3 simple buttons. So on the right hand side here we've got the locking for the doors, the central locking, so lock and unlock. And then in the middle here we've got the wing raise, so you push the top of it and it manually raises the wing up, and if you want to manually put it back down again you press it down. And then of course traction control, which you hold and press the button, traction control turns off, and then you press it once again and back on it is. In the middle here we've got a little Porsche Becker unit which has been trimmed to sit right inside the centre console. So the buttons that have been removed are here on the top of the dash, so you've got your on switch and then of course volume on one side, and to the right hand side changing radio stations or track if you're using CD. Amazingly, a lot of people will never realise that the Carrera GT actually has a CD changer because it is so well hidden. But it's under the dash here, and on the far left-hand side there's an eject button. You just press that. Moving back to the centre console, so below the gear lever we've got the window buttons, which quite simply press down for down and up for up. We have the climate control in the centre here, so the top is from left to right, cold to hot, or anti-clockwise to clockwise, cold to hot for your air conditioning. Speed of fans on the middle switch, so 1 to 4, and then in the bottom your areas of ventilation, so whether it's straight to the feet or up and below or just to the windscreen. there. And then at the bottom here we have this tiny little ashtray, and quite often you'll find some cars that have had an aftermarket lift system fitted, that the button is conveniently fitted in there, which is a great place to put it. So moving on to the rest of the instrument cluster, it is very, very similar to a 996 Porsche. On the left-hand side, you've got the indicators, which are up for right and down for left. And on the right-hand side, you've got your windscreen washers. Then on the left-hand side, the lower stalk, you've got your menu, which you can flick through all the different functions and pulling it back towards you and pushing it away from you for various different functions of that. So a great function that I love about this car is the fact that you can check the oil level. We'll only let you do it when it's actually warm. So at the moment we can't do it, but I can show you how to get there. So in order to start the car, you have to have the clutch pressed, and then you simply turn the key clockwise, and it will start. So, going from the main menu, we select oil by getting to it. So you push the lever away from you, and then you go to start measurement, and you push it away from you. Now it won't work because the engine hasn't got enough temperature. But when the engine's warm, that's the time to check the oil level, and it will actually automatically do it for you. Within that menu, so you go down to return, push it away, and it takes you out. And there are all sorts of other bits and pieces that you can check. So push it away to go in. They can give you a speed limit so that it tells you when to go in. And then of course when you get to return again, push this bottom lever away from you, and you can carry on looking at other bits and pieces in the menu. Here we are, the pressure info. Go to the race circuit, it tells you where you should be. The actual pressures at the moment, we've got 2.2 bar all round. Then we can turn the whole screen off. There we go. In the middle as well, I overlooked the hazard light switches in the middle here, which is of course very useful should you break down, which is extremely unlikely in a Carrera GT. Finally, on the left-hand side of the dash here, we've got the headlights, so turn it round once for side lights and all the way for the headlights, and then of course the stalk on the left away from you for full beam and towards you for dip, and pull it towards you to flash the headlights. The final two items here are the little rear stats at the top. So this one is to control the brightness of the dash. So you can go right to turn it up and back down again to turn it down. And the right hand one is used to set the clock. So a relatively simple interior. The only other item to cover are on this door for the door mirrors. So just like any modern car, you flick the button to the left or the right, depending on whether you want to change the left or the right, and you electrically maneuver the mirrors as such. And then down here in this gap here, we've got the handbrake, which is a traditional handbrake. Pull it up to put it on, pull the button, push it down, and just at the bottom of it, you've got two buttons here, one to open the back and one to open the front. So just before we get out and go to the front, just wanted to show you the last feature. So the car has a traditional glove box and it's lockable, which is super important because actually this car is not only a coupe, but a roadster. So when you've got the roof panels out and in the front, you need to be able to lock any belongings away inside the car. So the glove box can do that. But let's go to the front. So we'll have a look in the front compartment. Now, as we saw, you can open it with the button by the handbrake, but also on the key, the bottom button opens the front too. You need to slide your hand in just to the left-hand side of the Porsche badge and move this lever over to the right-hand side to release it. Now, as we mentioned earlier, this can be both a coupe and a roadster. And in the front here, in true Porsche style, they've got an instruction for you, which shows you that the passenger panel needs to be removed first and put into the luggage compartment here upside down, and then the driver's panel will go in on top of that. So, without further ado, let's have a go. So I always find the easiest thing is to open the door and slide fully forwards. Now, in here, you'll see there's a press button, and you press it, and pull the silver lever down. So we lift it at the rear, pull it out from the windscreen like so, because we've got two spikes here to go into the windscreen top mount. We turn the roof over, and in the front boot here there are two recesses in the polystyrene for the roof to sit in perfectly, which you hold it up against and place it in like so, making sure that the latch is in the down position. So just before we grab the roof from the driver's side, we take this leather strap, number 1, and this goes across the bottom here, like that, to hold that roof in place. Then we grab the other roof. So now we bring the driver's side roof panel, we make sure the latch is in the closed position. This roof stays in the same position, and it goes again into the recesses at the top of the boot here in the foam, sits on top of the other roof, and then we take strap number 2, and that clips very simply into here and across the top, and there we go. That is the roof held in the front compartment. Now it leaves us with very little space. There's a little bit of space under the passenger side roof, but that's it. And just before I close this down, one more thing to note, that in the front here there is a wheel socket should you find the need to use it. To close the front bonnet, have a firm push on the Porsche badge, like that. When the roof panels are removed from the car and in the front, you can also cover up the mechanism with this little slide cover, just to make it neat and tidy. Now today, whilst most Carrera GTs won't have a complete set of luggage, as over the years they have gone missing, this is what one should look like. So we have our overnight duffel bag, which should be in, as per all the luggage, matching the interior. You have your briefcase for your documents or your document case, and your shoulder bag, which looks pretty good. And then this is a wash bag, which goes in the center console, which I'll show you. So the wash bag is shaped like this so that it can go underneath the gear lever here. So it slots into, on the underside here, there's a little bracket which mates to the bracket on the underside of the bag. You start all the way back, and it slides in and fits in like that. Then the final piece of luggage is behind the passenger seat, is this suit bag. So if I just slide the seat forwards again, and you can see this suit bag here. And just as an interesting item, at the bottom of the passenger seat here, when it's slid forwards, you can see the complete chassis number where it's actually in the tub itself. Over and above the full luggage set, which potentially you could have with your Carrera GT, of course, the essential things you should have are a spare key, the book pack with a service book, the instruction manual, and then there are a number of other accessories that were available at the time. This being one of them, which is a Carrera GT launch brochure with a scale V10 engine model, and of course, a VHS to get you excited. As well as this, with some cars, we've seen a limited edition Swarovski crystal numbered scale model, and indeed covers for the Targa panels in the front compartment when they're off the car, as well as the Porsche standard indoor car cover. And a real hidden gem of the Carrera GT, which very few people know about, is inside each door is this secret compartment. So you press it in the middle there, and it's a push catch that opens, and inside should be 2 of these coin pouches, much like the Romans used to use. But I think that the thinking is that you can put some safety or some secure items safely in here, like jewelry or a watch or something like that, leave it in the car, and even when the roof is off, if the doors are locked, it's very, very secure. And like I said, a bit of a secret place that not many people, not many thieves would know that there's stuff in there. So great for your sort of trans-European trips where you want to just put your valuables in there, maybe your passport, maybe your watches, as I said, things like that. Underneath the passenger seat, if you slide it forwards, as we showed earlier, there is the full chassis number bonded into the tub, but there's also 3 other areas on the car where you can find it. One on a sticker in this door shut here, and then 2 more at the front of the car. One under the carpet in the front boot, and then finally at the bottom of the windscreen here in a little window, and quite a lot can be learnt from the chassis number. So the last 5 digits tell you which car number it is in a certain year. And just before those 5 digits, you have a letter, and before that letter, another number. And that number will be a 4, a 5, or a 6. And that denotes whether it's a 2004, 2005, 2006, then a letter, and an L, and then the 5 numbers. So this car is 275, so it's the 275th car built during 2005. And again, at the start of the chassis number, you will have WPOZ, which is for a European specification car, or WPOC, which is for a USA specification car. We've already opened the engine bay by using the switch by the handbrake, and you simply lift it up at the rear here. It's on hydraulic rams, and it opens like that. There isn't a huge amount to see in the back here apart from this amazing carbon fibre strut brace, which is the engine cradle, or the top of the engine cradle for the car, the back of the chassis. On this side of the engine bay, the passenger side, there's a little red panel here which you flick up and open, and that's a connection to the positive of the battery, and you can use one of the suspension parts as the negative if you want to leave it on trickle charge, or for whatever reason you've let it go flat and you need to boost start it. In the side here we have our warning triangle and breakdown pack, and in the other side we have the toolkit which can be taken out, and I'll show you that now. Just before I close down the engine lid, in the middle here is where the engine oil can be topped up, should you be brave enough, although we suggest that you leave that to your service agent. To close it, push it down in the middle, put your fingers in the middle and give it a firm close, and like that. So that's pretty much it for the user's guide of the Carrera GT. I just wanted to highlight one more feature which I love about this car, which has a real sort of point towards its racing pedigree, is that the wheel nuts are a different colour side to side. As many of you will realise, the thread goes in a different direction depending on whether it's driver's side or passenger side. So for the passenger side, the wheel nuts are blue, and for the driver's side, they're pink. And they've also got this fabulous locking mechanism so that you can see when they've been done up, to stop them coming undone, they've got this intricate mechanism that stops them coming undone. So there we have it. That's our Carrera GT's user's guide. And actually, unbelievable to think that we still haven't done an F41, so keep an eye out. That will probably be the next one, as I think that those cars should be hand in hand with the Carrera GT going forwards, as they do very much a similar thing, have the same thinking, same ethos, and for that reason, the Carrera GT is a particular favourite of ours at DK.